The Dallas Stars season continues on. They force Game 6 against the Vegas Golden Knights, and they'll play tonight at the American Airlines Center, looking to even the series up at 3 wins apiece. And on today's episode, we'll discuss who needs to come out of the lineup with the return of Jamie Benn and how the Dallas Stars can win and take one more step closer to history. All of this and more coming up on today's episode of Locked On Stars.
Your Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Bing bong.
Howdy, Stars fans. Welcome back to the Locked On Stars podcast, the only daily podcast covering the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Dane Lewis, your local expert on all things Dallas Stars hockey, coming to you on this Monday, May 29th. And whether this is your first time here or you are a recurring listener, thank you for stopping by and making Locked On Stars your first listen every single day. Be sure to subscribe to the show on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite podcasting platform of choice. We're free and available no matter where or how you may choose to listen. And the Dallas Stars season isn't over just yet. They took care of business in Vegas on Saturday night, and now they are rewarded with one final home game this series against the Vegas Golden Knights. The vibes will be immaculate at the American Airlines Center this evening. The crowds have been magnificent all postseason long, maybe outside of the end of Game 3, but now with the series seemingly almost evened back up, you know that place is going to be sold out, and it is going to be an electric atmosphere as 18,000 plus will be looking and hoping for the Stars to force Game 7 against the VGK. The Dallas Stars literally embodying Steve Rogers, Captain America from the MCU, the I can do this all day mentality. The Stars won Game 5 by just refusing to roll over and give up. The Vegas Golden Knights draw first blood in that game. The Dallas Stars score a minute and 48 seconds later. Luke Glendening, a tip-in goal after a shot from Thomas Harley from the point. And then later on in the game, Vegas goes up 2-1. And then your all-star responds with a goal of his own to tie things up. And then then you throw in the unexpected hero storyline as well. Ty Dellandrea, who had been scratched in the first couple of games of this series, really seemed like maybe his time in the Stanley Cup playoffs in 2023 had come to an end. He is called upon yet again with the absence of Jamie Benn and Evgeny Dadonov. And he made the most of his opportunity and stole the hearts of Stars fans across the country. And, the Stanley Cup playoffs are so incredible for so many reasons. But one of those reasons is, of course, the heroes that you don't always expect to be heroes. And Ty Dellandrea is certainly fitting that bill. Of course, you have Yoel Kiviranta back in the 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs in the bubble, of course, scoring the hat trick against the Colorado Avalanche in Game 7 of the semifinals. And now you have Ty Dellandrea, who scores not once, but twice to put the Stars ahead with his first goal and then give them their first multi-goal lead of the series with his second of the game. Just a truly incredible effort for a guy who has had a very good and solid season. Really his first full season in the NHL, officially having made the jump from minor league AHL player to being a full-time NHLer, and he's been asked to do a lot and has been moved all over the lineup throughout the entirety of the season. At times, he was playing with Wyatt Johnston and Jamie Benn. He moved around and played a little bit on the fourth line, on the second line at times with Tyler Seguin, and he, sometimes doesn't always have a home or a place that he typically plays, but he's a guy who can come in and take advantage of the opportunities when they are granted to him. And the Stars, because of that, live to see another day and are living to see Game 6 tonight in Dallas. And so now the Stars have really taken care of one of the most important pieces of this puzzle. They've proven that they can win in Las Vegas in this series. They were unable to do so in games 1 and 2, despite some pretty decent efforts in both of those games going to overtime, but they weren't able to pull out the win in either of those games. But now they've proven to everybody and themselves that they can, in fact, win at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. And of course, we know that they can win at home too, as they've won at home in this series, and they've played very well across the board throughout the entirety of the postseason when they've been within the friendly confines of the AAC. So the question is, why can't the Stars be the team to pull off this historic comeback? I know that things looked bleak, and many, including myself, started to believe that the season was over after game 3. And again, I still believe that it was more to do with the Vegas Golden Knights and not necessarily the Stars' inability to keep up. But I just didn't envision the Vegas Golden Knights losing 4 games. And, Vegas certainly played their worst game, I think, in game 5, but they still are a very disciplined team, a well coached team. So this isn't going to be easy. We can't just expect things to be handed to the Stars. They're going to have to work for this win in game 6. And then if they are granted game 7, they'll have to work incredibly hard for that win as well. But why not the Dallas Stars? No team has ever come back after being down 3 games to none in a conference final series in the history of the National Hockey League. And that history has to be made at some point. We don't know when. It might not be this series, but it's starting to look more and more like it could be because the Stars are learning to play as a team and playing their style of hockey. And they haven't cracked under the pressure of elimination. They've stayed strong. They've stayed level-headed, and they've played their style of hockey. They've played their brand of hockey and forced the issue with this VGK team. Of course, there's still a long way to go, but if you're a Stars fan, you have to be pleased and you have to be encouraged by what you've seen from this team over the past 2 games from really all across the board. Offensively, the defense, for the most part, has been a little bit tighter. There's still some things you would like to see adjusted or fixed, but there's really only so much you can do with the personnel that you have available to you at this time. But thankfully, Jake Ottinger has been a rock in net over the past few games as well. He continues his stretch of being nearly lights out in elimination games. So as long as you have Jake Ottinger continuing to dial it in and you continue to see this fight and sense of urgency from the Dallas Stars, you better believe that they have what it takes to mount this comeback. But of course, you have to take it one game at a time, one shift at a time, one period at a time. So it's not going to be easy. It's going to be one intense battle because the Vegas Golden Knights are going to come out and play hard in this game after, again, their most disappointing performance of the series so far in game 5. Game 6 is going to be an absolute battle from start to finish. And if the Stars can give the same effort that they've given in games 4 and 5, I think they're going to be okay. And regardless of the outcome, they have to be pleased with the result that they get. Plenty to discuss as game 6 is approaching. But of course, the biggest storyline is Jamie Benn, who will return to the lineup after serving his 2-game suspension after a cross-check to Mark Stone early in game 3. But with the return of the captain, that means somebody has to come out of the lineup. Who should it be? We'll discuss coming up next. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can make sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know if the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game. And when you shop on eBay Motors, you can look at over 122 million parts and you'll get back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. So get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit only, available to U.S. customers, eligible items only, exclusions apply. The Dallas Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights going head-to-head in Game 6 tonight at the American Airlines Center. The Dallas Stars looking to prolong their season, and the Vegas Golden Knights looking to head back to the Stanley Cup Final for only the second time in their franchise's existence. I want to thank you again for making Locked On Stars your first listen of the day. Thank you to all the everydayers out there who make Locked On Stars a part of their daily routine. The support has been incredible throughout the entirety of this playoff run, and hopefully we still have a ways to go and we aren't done anytime soon. But plenty, as I said, to discuss as we approach Game 6. Jamie Benn coming back into the Stars lineup tonight. But with the return of the captain, there comes a difficult decision. Somebody who played either in games 4 or 5 must be scratched, must be removed from the lineup where they are unable to play for the team in this game. And there's a few different options that you have presented before you. And if you didn't really, if you didn't know what was going to happen in game 5 outside of a Stars win, but you didn't know the stats, one of the players who might have been up for that spot to be scratched would have been Ty Dellandrea. But now I believe I would almost be certain and would be willing to bet a decent amount of money that Ty Dellandrea will not be coming out of the lineup. I think that he's more than earned his spot in this lineup for the remainder of the series, at least in game 6, with the way that he played in game 5, playing the role of the hero. I don't expect to see Ty Dellandrea removed from the roster. I, of course, asked many of you on Twitter, and there were countless of responses with a lot of the 3 same players kind of floating around. One of them being Freddie Olofsson, who doesn't have a ton of playoff experience this season and this series against the VGK, actually his first round or first trip rather in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He's been out for pretty much the majority of the time, kind of been an up and down guy in the lineup. AHL, in the NHL, a pretty decent stint at the NHL level, a guy that brings a ton of energy and is a pretty good fit somewhere in the bottom 6, especially on the Stars' 4th line. And he's been just that for this team in these 2 games against the VGK. The 4th line has been absolutely buzzing with Freddie Olofsson playing alongside Luke Glendening and Radek Faksa. Olofsson is firing shots on goal. He's forechecking incredibly well alongside Glendening and Faksa, who are 2 of the best forechecking guys on the Stars roster. Glendening, of course, gets that goal in game 5, and Faksa and Glendening both absolute beasts in the faceoff dot. And that line has been very impressive over the past couple of games with Freddie Olofsson. I know a lot of people on Twitter were talking about Olofsson coming out of the lineup more just because somebody has to come out, and it may as well just be him. I've seen a few people mention Yoel Kiviranta. That's one that I feel pretty neutral about. I feel like I could see it happening, but Kiwi's also a guy that you like to have out there for forechecking reasons. He's pretty decent on the penalty kill, a more aggressive forward, and he's generated his scoring chances as well. He had one in tight on Adin Hill in game 5, but unable to bury it and get it past Hill's glove. Kiviranta would certainly be an interesting one. I don't anticipate that one either, but maybe not. But the one that was mentioned maybe the most, and certainly the one that is most intriguing, was Mason Marchment. And it's an interesting debate, and it's an idea that I don't necessarily dislike. Mason Marchment, if we're being completely honest, really hasn't been himself since game 6 against the Minnesota Wild. He scored that goal in the final seconds of the second period to give the Stars a little bit more cushion heading into the final frame. A really big moment for him, but he hasn't really been himself since that moment, and especially this series against the Golden Knights. He just hasn't looked the part. And I feel like if you take him out and you add Jamie Benn, the team and the roster as a whole gets better, at least for what you're expecting in this series. And I know Mason Marchment's been a middle 6 guy all season. He's played nearly the entirety of the season with some injuries here and there. And so you would expect a guy that's getting paid as much as he is to be in the lineup in the conference finals. But the fact of the matter is, Mason Marchment hasn't been playing to the standard that we would like. And Jamie Benn is a 33 goal scorer. So again, it feels like a net positive if you maybe take Marchment out of the lineup and you add Jamie Benn in his place, allowing Dellandrea, Kiviranta, and Olofsson to all keep their spots on the roster. Because I think all 3 of those guys have earned their right to be out there on the ice. Again, Kiviranta, maybe not. That's one that's just kind of, I feel like it's again like Olofsson, where, you just throw the name out there of like, well, someone's got to come out. Maybe it should just be Kiviranta. He's playing, middle 6 or bottom 6 minutes out there on the ice. But what I do think also could be intriguing if Mason Marchment does come out is you could potentially get a line featuring Jamie Benn, Wyatt Johnston, and Tyler Seguin, which in my eyes would be incredibly fun. Evgeny Dodonov is missing time, and that allows Tyler Seguin to again fill in for an injured teammate. We saw Seguin fill in for Joe Pavelski in round 1 against the Minnesota Wild, and he did incredibly well. And I think it would be very intriguing to see Benn reunite with Tyler Seguin out there with Wyatt Johnston, who has looked sharp here in the postseason. Wyatt Johnston in particular has looked very good against the Vegas Golden Knights. He's gotten some golden opportunities to score goals, just hasn't been able to bury the puck. But if he's playing with his old friend, his captain, Jamie Benn, like he has been all season, and then you throw in an experienced, sappy veteran like Tyler Seguin, that could be a fun recipe for success. And then you keep the other lines the same. You don't touch the top line. You keep that fourth line of Glendening, Foxa, and Olofsson. And then you keep that third line of Kiviranta, Max Domi, and Ty Dellandrea. And that sounds like a pretty solid four-line lineup with, Mason Marchment taking some time off. You get Jamie Benn back. You reunite him with Tyler Seguin, which is just fun with its, within itself. But then you add one of the most electric rookies in the league. Sounds like a good time to me. It's overall a pretty nice problem to have, but I really am curious to see how the coaching staff approaches this decision, because it is a pretty important one. Of course, you have to put Jamie Benn back out there. He's the captain of the team. He is, again, a 30-goal scorer. I know he did make a mistake out there, but he's looking to redeem himself and looking to help make sure his team can finish this fight and pull off one of the most historic comebacks we've seen in recent NHL history. So I know a lot of people have chimed in on Twitter, but if you're watching on YouTube and this is the first you've heard of this debate, let me know in the comment section down below. Who do you think should come into the game with Jamie Benn's return to the lineup? Do you think it's someone that we talked about here, or is there someone that I'm missing? Is there a case to be made for someone else to be taken out of the lineup in terms of forwards? Very curious to hear all of the Stars fans out there and get you guys' thoughts and opinions either on Twitter or in the comment section down below. But the most exciting aspect is the Stars are getting their captain back. And if I were to guess, Jamie Benn would be in that starting lineup, and we'll likely hear Jeff K read his name in front of a sellout crowd. And you best believe that place is going to go berserk. And it's going to be awesome to see what he can do. And hopefully he can chip in and help the Dallas Stars win Game 6 and get one step closer to getting back to the Stanley Cup Finals. Big game 6, everything on the line for the Stars tonight in Dallas. How can the team win, and how can they prolong their season and force Game 7? We'll talk about all of that coming up next. The Dallas Stars looking to prolong their season tonight. A Game 6 win would force Game 7 and would put the Stars one step closer to pulling off the first ever 3-0 comeback in Conference Finals history in the National Hockey League. And it's absolutely incredible. It's so much fun to see the team competing like this. But you just know in the back of your minds as a Stars fan, the Vegas Golden Knights are going to come out on fire, guns a-blazing here in Game 6 after, again, a lackluster performance in Game 5 that left their coach, Bruce Cassidy, absolutely destroying the Arizona Coyotes franchise, who is already down. Why are you kicking the Arizona Coyotes while they're down, Bruce? That's messed up, man. He's talking about turnovers and how you're not going to beat the Arizona Coyotes with as many turnovers as they had. I don't know why the Coyotes had to be the ones to catch the strays, but it is what it is, and there's probably some truth to that. The Vegas Golden Knights did not play very well in Game 5, especially down the stretch, and that's what allowed the Stars to pull away. But if I know anything about this VGK team, and if I know anything about Bruce Cassidy, a lot of those mistakes that the Golden Knights made in Game 5 are not going to be made here in Game 6. So it is going to take a near perfect performance from the Dallas Stars in order to get the W in this game. The Vegas Golden Knights are going to come out fighting hard. This is now the third time that they've come into a game with the opportunity to clinch the series and head back to the Stanley Cup Finals for the second time in franchise history. And so it's all about weathering the storm if you're the Dallas Stars. The Vegas Golden Knights are going to play incredibly fast. They're going to forecheck hard, and they're going to do everything they can to get the Stars down and down early in this game. And so if you're the Dallas Stars, it's very, very simple what you have to do in terms of weathering the storm. Don't take dumb penalties. The Stars over the past 2 games have done a relatively good job at avoiding the penalty box. Don't put yourself in positions to draw penalties and put the Golden Knights on the power play. It's not a great power play, but if you continue to load it up, those offensive weapons that they have are going to start burying those opportunities more often than not. Make smart passes. Don't rush anything. Don't push anything, and don't do anything unnecessary. I know the Stars like to work from the rush, and they like to get in the offensive zone quick and go to work, but you got to make those smart passes, especially in the neutral zone. It's easier said than done against this Golden Knights squad, but it's all about patience in making the Golden Knights work defensively. That means the guys that are around the crease, and especially Adin Hill. You want to make life miserable for him by getting your guys in there in the slot down low. And on the other end, you have to keep your slot incredibly tight and condensed and make things easier for Jake Ottinger. The Stars have to keep chipping away, like I said, at Adin Hill. It's hard to score on him from far out unless you're getting a snipe shot maybe off the rush. Really, that's one of the goals that the Stars got in Game 5. Dellandrea gets that look where he sends it from far out wide. But even that, I believe, hit off a stick or a leg of a VGK defender. But every other goal in Game 5 was in tight. It was a deflection or just a rebound opportunity or sticking with the puck down low. And that's typically how we've seen Adin Hill get beat in this series. So you can send out shots from out far or up at the blue line every now and then, but that cannot be the bread and butter offensively for the Stars if they're looking to get the win in this game. You have to get in down low and you have to work hard for your opportunities. And the harder you work, you're going to be making Adin Hill work hard too. And the Stars have seen over the past few games that if you make Adin Hill work incredibly hard for his saves, he can't save all of them. And of course, you have to expect the big names to step up for this team. Jason Robertson now up to 5 goals in this series. Expect him to be playing with his head on fire. Joe Pavelski, Rope Hintz, that top line has been giving the VGK defense fits all series long. Of course, Jamie Benn, I'm sure, is going to be looking to make an impact in this game all over the ice. And then, of course, you look for guys like Ty Dellandrea to keep playing the way they're playing. Wyatt Johnston, who, like I said earlier, has gotten his opportunities but hasn't been able to execute. How will he respond after, not seeing some shots go in, some shots that he probably would like to have back? Very curious to see how all of this transpires. And of course, a lot lies on the shoulders of Jake Ottinger, who has been great, has been stupendous in elimination games in his career. Game 6 and Game 7 against Calgary last year, he was standing on his head, making save after save. He only allows 2 goals in the past few games against the VGK. He hasn't had the best postseason, especially in rounds 2 and 3. But when it's mattered most and when the Stars have faced elimination, number 29 has been rock solid for the team. And you have to expect that from him. And you have to hope that Jake Ottinger comes into this game ready to play. Otherwise, it could be a disastrous ending for the Dallas Stars. But not much else to be said about this matchup. I personally cannot wait for this game. It's going to be exciting to watch the crowd and see the energy in the building as they look to cheer on their team to getting one step closer to pulling off one of the most insane comebacks that could ever happen in the NHL. But that is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Stars. Thank you again for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on your favorite podcasting platform of choice. We're always free and available no matter where or how you choose to listen. You can also find us on social media. Just search Locked On Stars on Instagram and Twitter, as well as my personal Twitter account at Dane_Lewis. We will, of course, be back tomorrow, win or lose, with a new episode for you. Hopefully, we're talking about a Dallas Stars win and we can get another bing bong going after the intro music. But I hope you guys enjoy your Monday, enjoy your Memorial Day. And if you're going to the game, enjoy Game 6 and cheer on those Stars to victory. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.